Hello everyone, this is Pico Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another video review, and this will be a non-spoiler review of Avatar The Way of Water. Released on the 16th of December 2022, it stars Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Stephen Lang, Sigourney Weaver and Kate Winslet, and of course it was directed by James Cameron. It is of course a long-awaited sequel to Cameron's 2009 science fiction epic, being set on the futuristic setting of the planet Pandora, inhabited by the blue alien species known as the Navi, as they are protecting their planet from human invaders wanting to extract the precious substance known as unobtainium. The main lead character then was Jake Scully, a paraplegic soldier who ended up merging into a Navy body and fighting alongside them against the invasion. Now The Way of Water picks up afterwards, with Jake living as the Navy leader, married and with a family of 4 kids. Everything seems all good, but then another human invasion emerges, with the goal this time to occupy Pandora permanently, as Earth for some reason has become uninhabitable and is wasting away in its existence. After meeting his death battling against Jake in the first film, Colonel Quatrich and his soldiers are revived into Navy bodies as well, with their memories intact, and they go all out hunting down Jake for revenge. Realising his clan are under threat, Jake leaves with his family, seeking refuge amongst the now Mekatana clan and the Reef people, and living amongst them they indeed learn the way of the water and also the culture. After struggling to find their place and coexist, Jake and his family once again come under threat from Colonel Quatrich and his quest for vengeance. Now, going into the sequel, having looked at all of the trailers and promotional material, my big concern was that the movie would be all about the visual, pretty looking underwater sequences, but we would also get a very weak story and characterization, very much as to what we had with the first film. And sadly that happens to be the case this time round. After a decent first third of the movie where we get a certain amount of tension and urgency, the film enters its second third and really labours and drags. Now, we all know throughout most of his movies, James Cameron has been driven by the aspects of technology and otherworld beings and organisms, and has always been striving to be the cutting edge in terms of effects. But in this second third of the film, he really overindulges, as we get constant wave after wave, so to speak, of nice flowing sequences of the Navy riding sea creatures, huge whales leaping out of the water, the Navy gazing at white and pink jellyfish, and all of these nice, bright, pretty looking colours. And whilst pleasing on the eye, it eventually gets frustrating as Cameron completely loses the story that he initially set up, which to be honest is very thin to begin with. And once you lose track of the story and go much more into almost like a marine biology documentary, after a while you start to ask yourself, where is the film going? Where exactly are we heading towards in terms of the overall narrative? And I'll have to say, it eventually becomes boring and disengaging. Over completely over the top and unnecessary 3-hour 12-minute runtime, you'll find yourself struggling to keep attention with all of it. This film easily could have been cut by at least 45 minutes. In fact, the story is so basic, I can easily see a much superior version running at around 90 to 100 minutes long. Yes, the effects and CGI are all of a truly elite standard. There were a few frame rate issues, as if you go by the production of this film, James Cameron did decide to go for an increased amount of frames per second, but it doesn't prove to be too distracting in terms of the overall visual aesthetic of the film. And of course it all looks very impressive on screen, but we knew that going into this film. And to be fair, the third act does have a lot of action and spectacle, but even then it just goes on and on and on, and after a while I just found myself just willing the film to end. Not because it was terrible, but because it was just so ponderous and tiring, because I was just disengaged completely from the story. And even after a while the effects themselves become a bit repetitive. How many times can you see a whale leaping over the water before it just becomes ordinary? And as I pointed out during my reviews of the trailers, even the effects don't quite carry the same awe as what we did with the first film, because for the most part they simply look the same as the first film. Now, in terms of the performances, all of the actors, of course, using the motion capture in terms of the Navi, are absolutely fine, but it's probably the human characters that are the main issue, as they are so cliched and cartoony. The film also shifts a lot of focus onto the younger characters, and especially as we enter the second third of the movie, we get far more focus on all of the squabbles and the arguments between all of the younger characters. And I hate to say it, after a while it does feel like a typical CW teen soap opera drama. Now, to an extent I can understand Cameron wanting to focus on the younger characters, especially if he has future sequels planned, but at the end of the day, I didn't really find myself caring too much about where these characters were going. Now, the film does try for some emotional weight, with the focus very much on family, and there is a certain impact that's felt particularly at the film's climax, but because of the overlong underwater sequences, these scenes don't quite have the power that they should have, because again, I was just disengaged from the story at this point. Now, we all know Cameron, as I mentioned before, has future installments planned, and I'm still convinced that Avatar: The Way of Water will end up as the year's top grossing movie. But after over 3 ponderous hours, I think I might have just had my fill of Pandora and probably won't want to visit it for a third time overall. So if I had to give a score for Avatar: The Way of Water, it would be a 5.8 out of 10. As I said before, elite special effects and visuals, and a high standard in terms of value and production. But sadly, we have a lackluster story with very limited characterization, and a super long and over-indulgent 3-hour runtime. Too much focus on the aesthetics and the underwater sequences. Overall, leave this film as being very lackluster, very boring, and very uninteresting overall. So that's my overall thoughts and feelings and non-spoiler review of Avatar: The Way of Water. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If I have time, I may produce a spoiler review where I'll talk much more in depth about the certain details of the film and where it went right and where it went wrong. And I will also comment on the box office performance of the movie as it debuts its opening weekend in all international cinemas worldwide, so we will have some indication as to whether it will come anywhere close to matching the $2.9 billion that was grossed by the first film in 2009. So let me know what you think in the comments, and if you have any other subjects or movies or television series or any other issues that you'd like to see me talk about within the channel, then also let me know, and I will see if I can provide further commentary for you on those topics in the future. Please also hit the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.